emergency.
Welcome back to That Wee Woo Show, a podcast where we watch and discuss episodes of the ABC show 911. I'm Ellen.
I'm Alice.
And I'm Bex.
Thanks for listening to our first few episodes and for sharing our social media posts. And also thanks to all the people who've rated us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and other places around where you've been listening. We really appreciate you listening. This week we got some great messages on Twitter. Thank you very much to Nell, who is at Nelson's My Name, who replied to our tweets about this the previous episode where we mentioned our little chat about Target and the differences between Australian and US Target. And they replied and told us all about all the different types of Target in the US and in Minnesota in particular. So thank you for that. We've all been educated.
Who knew Super Target was a thing?
Yeah, our minds are blown.
We do have different sizes of shops from in different places, but I think they have a whole lot more variety over there, which is pretty amazing. So
yeah, like we have Kmart over here instead of Target, and you go into the Kmart like near my house and the Kmart an hour away, and they all look exactly the same pretty much. So
yeah, there's no Super Kmart.
Yeah.
No, that's right. Although sometimes the country Target and that look a bit different.
No, they've eliminated Country Target. That doesn't exist anymore.
They
really?
They murdered Country Target.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure if they have in Queensland. I think they're still around.
Why am I not surprised that Queensland's still around?
I mean, we're all a bit backwards up here, Anyway, if at any stage we start talking about how different the American stuff is from Australian stuff, then please feel free to educate us in any way you'd like to get in touch. We love it. We love hearing about it. So thank you, Nell. Okay, so in this episode we're going to discuss episode 6 in season 1, which is titled Heartbreaker, which aired on February 7th, 2018. Even though this is a Valentine's Day episode, it didn't actually air on Valentine's Day. It was the week before. But before we get into that, Alice, did you want to tell us what happened in the last episode?
Last week on 911, Abby and Buck met face to face to find Abby's mum and saved a life in the process. Hen visited her ex-girlfriend in prison, and we learnt finally about Bobby's past and the death of his family in an apartment fire he started. Bit of a heavy one last week.
So the official summary for episode 6 says, on Valentine's Day, a surprise marriage proposal goes awry with dangerous consequences. Athena attempts to help a desperate woman and unintentionally joins the Lonely Hearts Club. Bobby and Chimney pull holiday duty and learn about the Casanova fracture. And Abby and Buck go on their first official date. And before we get into the discussion, let's just flag some of the subject matter that we're going to be discussing in case any of it is something that you don't want to hear about. We're going to be talking about a small airplane in an air emergency. Or we're going to be discussing a choking incident, and not the fun kind of choking. There is going to be an amateur surgical procedure with blood shown. There is going to be an off-screen homicide, and there will be a police officer at threat. Doesn't sound incredibly romantic for a Valentine's Day episode.
No, not so far. But it's about to be really romantic.
Well, we open with Frank Sinatra, and Frank Sinatra's always really romantic.
Yeah.
We've got Old Blue Eyes crooning Fly Me to the Moon as we get aerial shots of Los Angeles and a small Cessna flies into view.
That's right. And I felt like this plane, it's like flying in and out between buildings. I'm like, how low is this plane flying? Like, I don't know if you're allowed to fly close to the Los Angeles CBD kind of thing, like right next to the Hollywood sign.
Yeah, he does seem to be getting very low, but we get beautiful shots of Hollywood Hills and the Hollywood sign. They fly past Griffith Park Observatory, which I went, oh, that was from La La Land. I recognise that.
Oh, see, I'm the opposite. I recognise it from Grand Theft Auto. We are not the same person.
I actually recognised it because that is the direction that we flew in from when I was flying into LA when I was over there last year. So, but anyway, they're flying along, and the man says he's going to swing them back around so they can go back. And the engine suddenly cuts out a little bit, and the plane shudders, and the man says, "Crap." And I'm like, we just had a plane crash in the last episode. Like, are we doing this again? What is going on here? It's a bit soon. But then the girl starts to panic, and the man tells her there's like a binder under your seat, like grab that and turn to the end and read out what the instructions are.
We just flag here that this guy's only had his pilot's license for a month.
Yes.
So his co-pilot, who is his girlfriend Kate, has legitimate reason to be freaking out right now.
Yeah.
But she's a pretty good sport. She starts to read out the checklist so that he can go through and make sure that everything on the plane he's doing all the things that he needs to in order to go into an emergency landing. But even as she's reading out everything and he's calling off check, he's not doing anything.
Yeah,
He's not flicking buttons, he's not checking dials, his hands are on the wheel, he's just saying check as she reads out. And this is important.
Oh, it's so corny.
Well, as soon as I figured out what he was doing, I was just like, this asshole.
Yeah, I wanted to slap him.
He's like, initiate engagement process.
Check.
Confirm pilot is head over heels in love with the passenger.
Ugh.
And then the engine kicks back in and the plane levels and the alarm stops. And the final line item on the checklist was, will the pilot promise to love and cherish the passenger up until his dying day? And this guy just says, double check.
And she's just like, what the fuck, man?
She's freaking the fuck out. Like, oh my God.
But even when he says he loves her and she just goes, I hate you. Oh.
And he is so proud of himself. He's reaching into his pocket, pulls out a ring, asks her to be his co-pilot, and she clutches at her chest, starts hyperventilating. And he realizes that he has really fucked up.
But anyway, we cut to the 911 call, and Abby answers, and he's actually called 911 from the plane. And he says that, she's passed out, but she's breathing, but her heart is racing. And Abby's like, oh, where are you? The ambulance is on the way. And he's like, we're in a Cessna flying over the LA.
We're still with Abby. She's kind of looking like, what? You're in an airplane? She's trying to get more details about what has happened, and the guy's saying, no, nothing happened. She just passed out. I had nothing to do with this whatsoever. But then he kind of fesses up and tells Abby that he pretended there was something wrong with the plane because he was going to propose, and he had the proposal written out in the emergency instructions. Abby is so done with his shit and just tells him to get on the ground, asks if he's contacted air traffic control. He said yes. Air traffic control gave him permission to touch down in Burbank Airport, but that's 15 minutes away. And Abby says, just, can you get it down? Where can you make an emergency landing? And apparently the closest place he can make an emergency landing is the middle of a golf course.
Yes.
So we get this wonderful shot of the Cessna sort of coming in for landing on a green somewhere, and all of the people who were just going about
diving out of the
their
way.
game.
Full on diving out of the way.
And he screeches to a halt kind of thing.
As the 118 pull up, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, perfect timing. How did they know which hole he was going to land on?
Magic.
Well, I assume they'd been watching him coming in.
Okay.
Yeah, but
that makes sense.
Like, I don't know, golf courses tend to have a lot of sort of trees and gardens around. Like, it can't be that easy to drive a fire truck through the middle of a golf course. But anyway.
The groundskeeper's just watching the engine truck come through going, oh, no, my perfect turf.
Yes.
Anyway, the Cessna touches down. They get Kate out of the plane, lay her on the grass under the plane, and the 118s start to work on her. We've got Bobby, Buck, Hen, and a random member of the 118 to replace Chim, who is not back into work yet after brain surgery a couple of episodes ago.
You know, I didn't even notice that there was an extra person there. That's terrible.
The poor rest of the 118. Like, this is it. It's just the theme with the rest of the
we
118.
say this every time, yeah.
I mean, I guess the logic is that they can't really give them too much screen time because then they have to pay the guy their SAG awards, and if they just have sort of the back of his head and he doesn't say anything, they can just pay him as a background actor, even though he's quite clearly in the entire scene.
Yeah, he doesn't say anything.
In universe, it's just so sad that this guy is not even acknowledged.
Yeah, not part of the cool kids. So Hen takes her blood pressure and reports that it's 80/40 and dropping. And Buck, who has been a firefighter for like 6 months at this point, is not an EMT, goes, looks like a possible heart attack. Like,
yeah.
I just gotta say, when they thought that, like, because I had chest pains a couple years ago, and I was taken by the ambulance into the hospital. I had like 5 blood tests and was under observation for ages just to make sure that it wasn't. But no, Buck can just, he's just like, it's just a possible heart attack. We're good.
There is a first responder on TikTok. I will repost some of his videos, who has a series where he green screens himself into police, fire, medical shows and kind of reacts as a real first responder would react to these situations. This scene is one that he did and he tore them to shreds. So I will repost his video so you can just see how badly this show did in this particular scene from a medical perspective.
My favourite part, because I rewatched it while I was watching the episode, where he's like, okay, you guys can't possibly get any more unprofessional. And then Buck just pulls out his phone like and answers it while he's on a call. And he's just like, oh, hey, Abby, I'm on a call. What's up?
Yeah. So that's actually a good place. We're going to jump back into the episode. Abby has called because she's using her personal phone to call Buck's personal phone to pass on medical information because apparently she has called Kate's doctor and got her personal medical... Yeah, who has told Abby what medication she has on. So she is then...
Abby's not a doctor. She's a dispatch worker. Like, why?
And also just handing out medical information. Like...
Yeah, is this a HIPAA violation?
I think this is definitely a HIPAA violation. Not only that, but like Abby has a radio that she can, like a phone that she can go straight to Buck's radio. But no, just like call his cell, it's fine.
Anyway, so this is incredibly important because after Buck has magically diagnosed Kate with a heart attack, Hen wants to administer a specific medication and it is contraindicated for the medication that she is on. It would do very bad things if Hen were to administer it. So it's a good thing that Abby did call, but incredibly unprofessional the way she did it.
Yeah, so Abby like mentions that the stunt that the guy pulled, and Buck's like, well, what stunt? And so Abby's like, oh, he didn't tell you? Romeo faked an air emergency. And Buck is like, you faked an emergency?
And the guy's just all, what? I was proposing.
I love how everyone's reaction to this is just like, you did what?
Yeah, you're like, what were you thinking?
Yeah, this is one idea that you need to run past the committee before you actually put it into action. So after hearing about Kate's medical history, which he definitely should not have been told, Bobby then gets in on the magical diagnosis game and diagnoses her with broken heart syndrome.
Yeah, which means they definitely can't give her whatever they were about to put in her.
Yeah, we're going to give her nitroglycerin.
Yeah, again,
Nice.
I was just given aspirin, but sure.
Yeah, broken heart syndrome. The man asks if it's a real thing, and Bobby says that it's just like having a heart attack, but probably brought on by her medication and him nearly scaring her half to death.
So Hen administers the correct medication, and Kate wakes up like she's been woken up from a dream. She's like, she jolts upright and she gasps, and I'm not entirely sure what the drug was that Hen gave her, but I'm not entirely sure that that's how you would react.
Look, the actress is really getting her, flexing her chops here.
No, he probably would have been a little more groggy.
Anyway, so she jolts upright, everyone is relieved, and the first thing that she asks is to see the ring again. And Abby is still on the phone, by the way. Buck has not hung up the call.
So and he's given running commentary.
Yeah, he's letting her know what's going on. So the guy pulls out the ring again. He slides it onto Kate's finger. She looks at it. She tearfully says yes, which then Buck passes on. He's like, I think she's actually considering his proposal. And then she slaps him. And the comment was, she said yes, and then she smacked him. And Abby's like, yes, love hurts.
Yeah,
and then that's when we get to the title card. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be the theme of this episode. Love hurts.
Well, it is called Heartbreaker.
All right. So, didn't want to say anything else about that dubious medical episode that we just had right before we move on. No, I think like this the
less
episode,
said about that, the better.
Yeah, I think this episode, so like out of all the episodes we've had so far, we've had some very kind of I guess intense and deep episodes that have been, you know, traumatic, I suppose, in for want of a better word. But this one has definite comedy overtones. Like, I have to say, a lot of the scenes in this particular episode seem to be very tongue-in-cheek, and I'm not sure if they're actually going for, you know, it's almost like, I guess in Supernatural we have, like, I know I keep bringing it up, but we all share this in common. We have like the serious parts of the episode, but then we also have the lighter comedy parts. But because I guess we have only had a few episodes of this one so far, I'm not quite sure of the tone yet for this. Like, sometimes they seem to be like taking the piss, you know,
but the interesting
like,
thing
situations.
is that, like, with Supernatural, you would have your lighthearted episode and the entire episode would be tongue-in-cheek, whereas for 911 you'll get your tongue-in-cheek scenes and then they'll get something that is absolutely horrific, and then you'll cut back to something tongue-in-cheek, and then you'll traumatize somebody, and then you'll go back to something tongue-in-cheek.
Oh, yeah, absolute whiplash.
I don't know. We're
Yes.
sort of this is 6 episodes in, and I'm really not quite sure of the tone yet. I mean, I'm okay with the whiplash so far, but anyway, so we're back to some more lighthearted kind of scene now, where Carla and Patricia are baking some cookies in the kitchen while Abby is sitting at the counter painting her nails. And Patricia is mostly remembering how to do it, although Carla has to sort of help her out a little bit. And Abby sort of reminds her that the tablespoon is the big one, and Carla sort of looks at her and goes, let her remember.
Which Abby finds hilarious, because apparently her father always did the cooking. So there's nothing for Patricia to remember. Which Patricia very indignantly says that she made good reservations.
Yeah.
Like, you go, Patricia.
Yeah.
But they're making Valentine's Day cookies, because this is the first sort of in-episode mention of the fact that it is Valentine's Day. Or it's coming up to Valentine's Day, and Abby loves Valentine's Day. Because it's the one day of the year that she can be sappy and romantic and in love with love.
Yeah.
And then she gets shot down by Carla.
I love Carla so much. She's like, so why are you dating a guy who only likes to bone on the phone?
It should only occur to me later that meant that Abby has told Carla that they are actually having phone sex now.
Yeah, I thought that too. I'm like, wow, you just telling her, like, how long have you known this woman? And you're just like, yeah, we just bone on the phone.
I think Carla has been upgraded to, like, bestie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carla's part of the family now.
Yes.
Abby says that she and Buck aren't dating, although he has invited her to a party at the firehouse.
Ooh, party.
It's so high school.
A bit high school. She says it's getting kind of irritating though, because she's fine with him just being a boy toy, but he's so afraid he's going to do something wrong or hurt her, and she just wants to put on some fancy underwear and go out and have a nice time.
It must be nice, like, being able to talk about, well, not nice, because obviously it's a terrible thing, but she can just talk about this in front of her mum and know that her mum's not going to remember anyway.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, Patricia seems pretty supportive. She has moments where she seems supportive. Although when Abby suggests that if Buck doesn't come through, the three of them should have a girls' night, Patricia seems to side with Carla when Carla says that she deserves a Valentine's Day, and if Buck doesn't give it to her, then sayonara, Fireboy. They high five.
Yeah.
So that's Abby's thoughts on Valentine's Day, and we cut to Buck's perspective on Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah, he
Which
says he
is
hates
slightly
Valentine's Day.
slightly more cynical than Abby's.
It's very typical mid-20s boy.
Yeah, Valentine's Day is just a commercial conspiracy.
Yeah.
It's a fake holiday designed by women to make guys feel guilty and get into debt. And I love that the accident, the scene that they've rolled up to is a florist's truck, which was delivering Valentine's Day flowers, has crashed and there are roses strewn all over the road.
Yeah.
And he's complaining to Bobby about all this. But surprisingly, Bobby does not share his opinion about Valentine's Day.
Bobby's really cute in this scene.
Yeah.
Like, he's definitely opening up more since the last couple episodes, which is really nice to see. He's not doing the whole, like, strong, stoic, like, you know.
Yeah, that's true. And he's obviously told Buck about, his family by now, because after he met his wife, it was pretty great to have someone to share it with. And
yeah, he said he's loved it since he was 8 years old, which is super cute.
yeah, that is cute. But he's a romantic at heart, it turns out. And Buck says, you must have missed your wife on Valentine's Day. And Bobby just says, I miss her every day, Buck. He really did open up to them.
Yeah.
It's so nice. It's definitely a turning point here.
It's actually a really lovely shot too, because it's sort of, late afternoon and the sun is kind of shining in, but they're really wet because this florist truck has run into like a fire hydrant and there's like water gushing everywhere. So they're all like standing in this glistening sunlight, like it's a really gorgeously shot.
Water dropping around them. Yeah, it's a beautiful scene.
Yeah. It's like the classic, like, romantic in the rain thing, but it's Bobby and Buck.
Yeah. But no, now it is time to go to the party at the firehouse.
I love this cake so much.
The cake is amazing. All we can see when we cut to the scene is the white base with the buttercream decoration, and there are little Matchbox cars, which the first couple of times I watched this, I didn't notice it, but one of the cars is a blue sports car, the other one is a yellow pickup truck, and the sports car is like wedged up on top of the hood of the pickup truck. So they're using the Matchbox cars to recreate Chimney's accident. And around the corner of the cake, there's a little like Matchbox fire truck coming towards them.
Oh my God.
And then you pan up, and on top of the white fondant base, a white buttercream base, is what I'm assuming is a fondant bust of Chimney's head with rebar sticking through the forehead.
Yeah, like right through, like at the front, and then it comes out the back as well. It's and there's a candle on top of his head as well.
Oh, yeah, the candle on top of his head, and it's just the pièce de résistance. Oh my God.
Like, do you reckon Bobby baked this?
You know what? I think Bobby is a cook. He's not a baker. I see him, making lasagnas and making incredible casseroles. I don't see him manipulating fondant with that level of care. So no, I think they ordered that in.
Oh Lord. If that had been me in the accident and someone made a cake out of the accident, I would have been like, okay, thank you, I'm gone. Like, I can't deal with this right now. Oh my God.
So this is Chim's welcome back party. There are banners hanging behind their heads that say welcome back there. The table is full of food, and Bobby very proudly delivers the cake to Chim, who is kind of torn between I don't know, he looks slightly amused but slightly horrified. But he thanks everybody, and when Buck asks how it feels to be back, Chim says, well, it beats the alternative.
And well, we forgot to mention that the music needle drop here is Lust for Life by Iggy. He's recovered remarkably well. I don't know how long after the accident this is supposed to be, but he looks fine, considering it's a traumatic brain injury.
He still has a scar or a red mark on his forehead, so like props to continuity and makeup for giving him that. But yeah, he has all his hair. So it's been long enough for him to grow his hair all the way back. Or maybe they just forgot about the, oh shit, they would have shaved him to do the craniotomy. He should either be completely shaven or have like a bald patch on one side.
Yeah, I think they just didn't want to shave him. But yeah, I do like that he actually has the scar on his head, because that's nice.
They actually sliced his head open, so like, would he not have scars where there's no hair? Like, I don't know. I don't know anyone who's had this kind of surgery, but I got the impression
there would be scars that would be under the hair, but like his hair is lush and coiffed and very, very long for someone who's had it all shaved.
So I guess we have to assume that a few months have passed since it all happened. So
you would have
at least a few months.
Yeah, I don't think brain surgery is something you just like bounce back from.
Yeah.
No.
If you've had brain surgery, let us know. What was your recovery time?
Let us know. He realised while he was gone that he really needs all of them. Like he needs a hole in the head. I'm so glad you can laugh about it, Jim. But Bobby is glad to have him back. He's the heart of the firehouse, it says.
Athena says he had a lot of people praying for him, not just this department. And Jim says he must have been listening because even the doctors kept using the word miracle. And yeah, I don't blame them. He had a rebath through his head.
Yes.
Buck asks, not even a headache? And Jim goes, just you, Buck. So he's back to his normal playful self.
He hasn't lost his sense of humour.
Yeah.
No. I love Bobby that Bobby then says, so let's light you up so you can make a wish. Which, isn't that just birthday cakes?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I don't know why it's got a candle. That is weird.
It's got the candles so that Bobby can then make the joke of, we need to light the candle. All right, who's got a match? Wait, really? We're in a firehouse? Nobody's got a match?
No one's got a match.
And then it allows him to go down to the locker room where apparently he's got a lighter in his locker. Maybe Bobby's a secret smoker as well as being an alcoholic and a drug addict. And which means that he is the first one to notice Abby come walking into the firehouse.
Looking very lost.
She does. She looks very nervous.
But she's holding a plate. So she
brought
cookies.
It's
so cute.
Aww, she is. Actually, I noticed something. Before we keep going with this scene, can I just... when they are in the firehouse and they're wearing their, like, blue uniform coat thing, and they've got, like, a USA flag on their thing, but it's backwards.
Yes.
Have you noticed that? Do you know why that is?
Yes, and there is a reason.
Yes. Do tell me, because I was going to look it up and I forgot, so I was hoping one of you would know.
Yeah, I don't know. I know. I think upside down means like in peril.
I did remember looking that up. Okay, so according to this website, it's because of the way the flag is. If you put it up on a flagpole, the stars are on the side of the pole. And if you were to put that directly onto a sleeve, it would mean the stars would be on the sort of the back of the person. They'd be pointing away from the person. And that would be signaling that they would be retreating. They don't want to be retreating. They want to be moving forward. So they flip it so the stars are facing the front.
Oh.
Right.
Well, that's for the military anyway, so I'm assuming the same would apply for firefighters.
Wow.
Again, anybody in the US, if you have any special knowledge about military and paramilitary uniforms and about the insignia and patches and why flags are displayed certain ways, drop us a comment, reach out to us on Twitter, inform us, please, because I'm just frantically Googling right now.
Yeah, because Australia, like, we don't really do that. Like, our uniforms
We're not
don't
as
have...
patriotic.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, I think when we have Australian flags on uniforms, they tend to be on the front, like breast pocket type thing there, rather than on sleeves, I think.
Well, like, our firefighters don't have
no, they don't
flags
have a
on them at
flag.
all.
And I don't think police do either, at least in Queensland police don't.
Yeah.
No,
But
police
anyway.
don't wear flags.
I don't even know if I'm trying to remember, like, I work near a Navy base, so you'd think I'd know, but...
Navy, they fly the ensign.
Okay.
There's the white ensign or the blue ensign.
Yeah, we don't have flags on... Oh, wait, I just found a uniform that does have the flag on it.
They might wear them on their BDUs, which is their battle dress uniforms. They might
Yeah.
have flags on those.
But yeah, they're just, like, normal, everyday stuff doesn't have flags on.
So hang on, if they didn't want the flag to be flying it like in retreat, why didn't they just put it on the other sleeve?
Obviously, yeah.
Then it would be
I don't know.
then it would be the right way round.
I don't know.
Okay.
If you designed the the firefighter's uniform in America...
Hang on. No. Reddit would like us to know that they're wearing it on their left-hand side, right?
I think they
Yes.
must be.
Yes.
Okay, so someone on Reddit, and I mean, Reddit is usually pretty accurate, saying that historically shields are carried on your left. And so your shield usually has like your family crest. So badges identifying people are traditionally worn on the left in reference to the fact that you used to wear your shield on your left. Because everybody back in those days was right-handed.
Right. Well, I wasn't expecting it to go all the way back to heraldry, but you know, there you go.
There you go.
Yes.
Thank you, Reddit.
Thank you, Reddit.
Well, we're talking
Wow.
about the difference as well between like Australian stuff and American stuff, because I think I forgot to actually mention this in the first episode. But
Yeah.
like the dispatch centers in America all go to the same place. Like you're just a 911 operator, like it's just dispatch. Whereas here, the first thing you're asked is if you want police, fire, or ambulance.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And you go to a different dispatch center for each. So yeah, that was something that like the first time I was watching, I was like messaging my American friends, like it's just one thing. And like, why are the firefighters going out with the paramedics?
Yes, because it's all separate units for us. We have paramedics and who are different from firefighters who are different from police.
Yeah, and like a lot of, so I'm not in a metro area, and so our firefighters are all volunteers. There's maybe 2 per station that are paid, and the rest are all volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only the cities that have paid firefighters.
There you go. That's your international lesson for the day.
Yeah.
For this
Like
week.
when we call for an ambulance, it's just paramedics that come out. We don't get firefighters or anything.
Unless they're
Unless
called
there's a
as
fire.
well.
Yeah.
But your paramedics are going to be dressed differently from your firefighters, and your firefighters are going to have basic first aid, but they're not going to have full paramedic knowledge.
Yeah, like we had to call the fire brigade out when we called the paramedics once. And because my granddad had collapsed upstairs and we couldn't get him down, so the firefighters had to come to carry him. But like the paramedics got there first, and we just had to wait around till the firefighters came as well.
Yeah.
So like they were treating him and stuff, but they couldn't get him down until the
Down the
firefighters came.
stairs.
Yeah.
Right.
Fascinating.
Yes.
Anyway,
Anyway, back to the scene.
back to our regularly scheduled program where Abby has arrived at the firehouse and Bobby intercepts her. Obviously, you don't want strangers wandering around your firehouse, and he's trying to very politely figure out who the hell she is and why she's there. And she says that she's here for the party, and he assumes that she's a friend of Chim's. But she's like, no. And then Buck comes down the stairs and like, Abby, you made it. That's so cool. And that's a quote. So cool that she made it to the party.
Oh, he's such a kid.
You mentioned that it was very high school that he had invited her to a party, and that's a very high school reaction.
The best part is, so this is like just after, not just after, but like after Abby's had the discussion with Carla about how Buck and her relationship's just on the phone. And then Bobby says, oh, you're the woman from the phone. And she looks horrified.
Yeah, she's like,
She's like, no,
yes?
no, 911 operator, 911 operator.
And Buck just like strolls in completely oblivious as to what's happened.
And he takes Abby upstairs and introduces her to everybody as LA's fiercest 911 operator, and then tells everyone that she brought cookies, and everyone cheers because, of course, everyone's happy that she's come to bring cookies.
And her mum definitely made those cookies. She absolutely did not.
Yes. And he introduces her to Chimney as well, who offers her some cake, and she declines. But
Which Bobby is a little bit annoyed that Chim has already sliced up the cake. Like, he really wanted to light that candle and get Chim to make a wish.
And then Chim's like really upset that, he's not upset, but he's just like, I don't know, cranky. He's like stabbing the cake on his plate with his fork, going, you serious? I got dumped after I survived a rebar, and he ends up with her. What's he got that I don't have?
And they immediately have Buck bend down, and Chim's like, forget I asked.
Yeah.
Like, just bends right over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you don't have.
Yeah.
Chim. And Bobby's just like slightly amused, slightly sympathetic, and just goes, you want some ice cream? And Chim's like, yeah, I want a lot of ice cream.
They've got great chemistry, those two. It's funny.
I think everybody on the 118 has really great chemistry, and they've all got really good comedic timing too. They
do.
They can do the snappy banter back and forth.
Yep.
Like, I wonder if before they, like, between the pilot and, like, the first episode, they just, like, locked them in a room for 48 hours and was like, yep, cool. So once you come out, you'll have experienced a shift together.
You have to be besties first, and then you can do the show together.
I think they really did luck out. If they didn't do chemistry tests with the ensemble before they cast them, then they must have realised very quickly how well they all clicked on screen, and that probably led them to writing a lot more of these lighthearted moments because they realised that this cast could pull it off.
Yeah. It's great. And, like, they've all got different relationships too. Like, Chim and Hen obviously work so close being EMTs that they do have such a, like, close friendship. And then Bobby and Buck are just dad and kid, like, the entire time.
Yeah.
Whereas Bobby has a
Yes.
completely different relationship with Chim.
And then you've got Hen and Buck are like the chaos siblings.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, Hen's definitely the older sister that's just like, no, I'm so much more mature than this, and then does something chaotic, and it's like, Hen, what are you doing?
Yeah.
So Abby is kind of making not Abby's making the rounds. Abby is sort of planted in one spot after examining the cake, which Buck thinks is so cool, and Abby is just like, I don't know what to think of a giant fondant head
With a rebar through it, but sure.
That's one thing you can call it.
And the rest of the guests just kind of do drive-bys past Abby. So we get Athena comes over to say hello and ask after Abby's mum, and then Hen comes over, and she does that thing where she kind of hovers and she waits for Buck to introduce her, which Buck does not get that social cue whatsoever, so she does the "Hi, I'm Hen" very pointedly. And then immediately starts in on what they're going to do for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, chaotic older sister.
Yeah, where is he taking you? Somewhere nice?
And
They're
then
both kind of
we
like,
don't really
"Oh,
have
no,
any plans.
well,
Yeah.
no."
we're not really, you know.
No.
Buck says, "But, I have to work." And Hen goes, "I'm working the same shift as you. We finish at 2. And then I'm going to go home to my wife." And then she bounces. Which... I watched these episodes out of order. So I watched this one before I watched 105. And 105 is when we got the big reveal that, like, Hen had a wife. So... having that big reveal. So when I watched 106, this episode Heartbreaker, I thought that this was them kind of just dropping it in, slipping in, "Oh, Hen has a wife."
Yeah.
But it's not, because we already knew that. So I don't know whether this was them reminding us that Hen has a wife, or this was her way of saying to Abby, "You don't have to worry about me because I don't want anything that he's got."
Yeah.
I don't know. It was slightly odd.
I just assumed that she was paying him out for like not having anything planned, because she's like, "I'm going home to my wife and you haven't got anything planned yet,"
Okay, that's
know.
another interpretation.
And Abby's like, we're just being casual. It's no big deal. It's definitely a big deal. It's only a day.
Yeah.
And Athena decides that she's going to chime in and say it's only the day he's obligated to show you a good time. But she's not going to have a good time on Valentine's Day. She's put in for an extra shift, and she's going to do whatever she can to get her mind off romance for the night.
Poor Athena.
Yeah, I guess Valentine's Day is not that big deal when your husband liked the boys.
And met someone.
And is probably having a Valentine's Day
Yeah.
date of his own
Yeah.
with the boy that he's met.
Yeah.
Or a different boy, who knows. We haven't heard from Michael in a while.
But she says where's she going to take him, and it better not be a salad bar. And Buck says it's going to be somewhere really nice, but Hen's like, well, it's getting a bit late to get somewhere. And apparently Buck knows people.
Apparently.
So apparently they all go like, okay. And then after they like make fun of him, he's like, okay, bye, Hen. But just as they're doing that, the alarms go and they all have to leave. So this is like their big party that has now been interrupted in the middle of with a call.
At least they all ate something this time.
They had cake.
Yeah.
The cake will keep
They
them
did
going.
have cake. We don't get to see them at the call because the next scene we cut to is at an apartment where two people are having dinner at a romantic kind of setup with a table with candles and, wine and stuff. And so the girl is like, you didn't like it? And the guy's like complaining about the food. And then they kind of have a little argument about how the Valentine's Day plans didn't quite go according to how she wanted them to go.
She seems to have very specific ideas about how this is going to go, to the point where she says to her date, whose name is Ted, just so I can have something to refer to him by. She said, "This is now the moment in my schedule where you give me my gift," and looks very pointedly at the box off to the guy's left, and he kind of looks relieved, like, okay, fine, yes, I'm going to give you this now. And it looks fancy. It's a big square box, kind of looks like a jewelry box.
Jewelry, yeah. But it's actually chocolate.
It's chocolates.
And cheap chocolate.
And the woman she looks at the chocolates, looks up at the guy and says, "I like chocolate. I like diamonds, but real diamonds, not diamond-shaped chocolates." And Ted's a bit of a douche because he looks at it and says, "Did you really think I was going to get you real diamonds?" And the woman is starting to get a little bit irate because she sets out everything that she did to get ready for this Valentine's Day dinner. She spent hours getting ready, and he bought her a $14 box of chocolates. And his response was, well, maybe you should have spent less time salting the food.
No. And she throws a glass at the wall and it breaks into bits, and
Which I completely understand her reaction at this point. Yeah. But he does not. He decides to bounce. Apparently his friends have warned him away from this woman, so she's got the crazy eyes.
And
she really does have the crazy eyes.
Yeah. She's like, you told me you loved me. And he just goes, I tell that to everyone. So yeah, he goes, you want me to do this the hard way? Fine. You're not my only girlfriend. I can't watch a movie with you because I've got plans with another girl later tonight. Got her the same box of chocolates. You don't mean anything to me. And she like blocks his way, and he tries to sidestep, and she blocks his way again. And then we go to a 911 call. She's
looking really like, she's got the crazy eyes.
Oh, she's definitely got the crazy eyes.
Crazy eyes. She's mad. And yeah, something's going to go wrong with these two. But we're not going to find that out yet. Although actually we kind...
Yeah, we almost do. We get the first part of the resolution of this. So the 911 call goes through, and it's a man who's their neighbour who's saying something's happening at the neighbour's place, but I don't want to get involved. Can you send someone? And so Athena shows up at the door. Melora, who's the crazy eye lady, opens the door, and Athena says they got a noise complaint from one of her neighbours, and Melora explains that they had a fight. And Athena asks if she can come in, and then she has a look around. Melora explains that she's been dumped on Valentine's Day, and they have a little convo about how men can be dogs, and I thought he'd be a good dog. I thought he'd be the one. Blah blah blah.
I thought that was a good line.
Yeah.
She agrees that men are dogs, but she thought that he'd be a good dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Athena sort of trauma dumps on her a little bit. Like, sometimes the one isn't even the one. Take it from me, you can be married and still feel alone.
Yeah, so they connect a little bit over being alone on Valentine's Day.
At which point Melora notices that Athena is wearing a wedding ring, and she kind of queries, like, why are you talking like this if you're still wearing a wedding ring? And Athena kind of says, well, I took a vow. And Melora thinks that's beautiful. We notice, or Athena notices, and we notice by Athena that Melora's cardigan, his sleeves have slid up a little bit, and she's got some scars running on her wrists. So not all in the world is right with Melora, and she notices us and Athena noticing and pulls the sleeves down and said that happened a long time ago. She's fine now.
Yeah, it was just a cry for help.
It's just a cry for help, yeah. Athena offers that if she ever needs to cry again, she can call Athena and gives her her card. To which Melora says, "You've got such a good heart," and gives Athena a hug.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that seems a little bit
It's quite sweet, but also a little ominous.
A little ominous.
I think it's just the way that Melora says it.
Yeah, and the crazy eyes.
The crazy eyes, yeah.
It could be just because we know what's going to happen that it kind of feels ominous in hindsight.
Maybe. But Athena gets saved by the radio. There's a robbery in progress, and Athena asks dispatch to show that she's en route, so that she can get the hell out of Melora's apartment. So when Athena bounces, Melora considers Athena's card, goes back into her kitchen, grabs a glass of wine, pulls a butcher's cleaver out of the knife block, and then carries it to looks like a coat closet in her hallway, where her poor date is tied up on the floor, and he's looking incredibly frantic because we get the shot from his perspective on the floor up at Melora standing in the doorway with the light behind her holding up this knife, and she says, "I just got some excellent advice from a very wise woman," and then lifts up the cleaver, arm swings down, and we cut to black.
Oof.
And I don't think that's what Athena meant.
No.
No, and honestly, I don't, maybe she hit him on the head or something, but how did she manage to subdue this dude who, like, he looked like a pretty solid guy. He was taller than her, and
My
tie him up
question
and
was,
gag him and everything. Like,
he's
man.
quite clearly conscious when Melora gets there, so why was he so quiet if he could have... Surely he must have heard that Athena was in the house.
Yeah.
So why wasn't he making noise?
I don't know. I have a lot of questions.
Like, kick the door or something. I know you're duct taped up, but...
Once again, just don't think too hard about these episodes,
Yeah.
because otherwise you start to see the holes.
Yeah, a little bit.
We'll just go with it.
So we go back to the firehouse, and this is
I love this
the
moment. This
cutest
is so cute.
scene. It's so cute.
It's extremely cute.
So Bobby's standing behind Buck tying his tie, and it's like first date.
It's like that cute thing where you know how to tie a tie on yourself, but you don't know how to tie a tie on someone else.
Yeah.
So rather than taking if I was going to tie a tie for someone, I'd take the tie off, tie it on myself, and then put it over their head. But no, Bobby is standing behind Buck, hands over his shoulders, tying his tie for him, and it's very a nice father-son bonding moment going on here.
So Buck's in a button-down shirt and suit pants.
Very tight suit pants.
Well, obviously. Buck asks again if he should stay because Bobby and Chim are pulling double shifts. Bobby says Chim's so excited to be back he'd work 4 shifts in a row if they ask him to.
I'm pretty sure that he wouldn't be allowed to work in double shifts.
Absolutely not.
If he'd only just come
no.
back to work. But anyway, let's not worry about that.
Buck's nervous about this date. Again, and mostly he's nervous that he's going on a date, and for Buck, as we've determined, date means sex. He's like, what if we end up having sex?
He says, what if we start having sex? And it's like, Buck, just don't start having, it's okay. You can just not have sex.
You can just not. Bobby's the same. He's like, why would that happen? Because that's what always happens, apparently. It's like,
he's a sex addict.
Self-diagnosed.
Then Bobby goes, listen, it's not uncommon for a guy to use quick, meaningless sex to avoid real intimacy. And Buck goes, so I can sleep with her as long as I'm not a dick about it? And Bobby's like, is that what you think I said?
Buck's like, that's what I heard. Once again, establishing that there's a weird sort of mistranslation going on between what Buck hears and what Buck understands.
So Bobby's like, that's not what I said. Why don't you try something new? Like getting to know her. Really getting to know her.
While this nice little bonding moment is going on, Abby and Carla and her mum are having their own little bonding moment because Abby is getting ready for her date. She comes out to show Carla and Patricia her outfit. It's this beautiful, off the shoulder black dress. She's got black heels. Her hair is out. Gorgeous. She looks stunning. Patricia looks over and goes, "You don't look like a whore at all."
She's like, "Thanks, Mum."
How are you supposed to take that? But the irony is that while Bobby and Buck are talking about Buck not having sex with Abby and Carla are talking about, yes, Abby, definitely hit that if you've got the chance to. Go out and have some fun. Just worry about your own needs. Start fulfilling your own needs. So, we've got the possibility for some really awkward miscommunication going on here.
Yep, and back at the firehouse, Buck is just reiterating that he should not sleep with her tonight, right? And Bobby's like, no. If you're interested in her, she deserves chivalry. And it's like, yeah, I like the idea of chivalry. But he puts on his jacket and he asks Bobby how he looks, and Bobby's like, "You look handsome."
You look real
He looks so proud.
Yeah. This little boy's all grown up.
And then he says, good luck keeping it in your pants.
And Buck looks mortified. true father-son bonding moment there.
Oh,
It's not complete unless the parent completely humiliates the child.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's great. And again, it's such light-hearted Bobby from what we've seen. Like, in, episode 1, he's just like, I know we've got this father-son thing, but, like, we're not a family. And now he's literally tying Buck's tie.
Yes.
Totally a family.
It's so good.
So there is a 911 call, which is from a caller who says there's a totally insane crash where there's like a pile up of a million cars and she's going to be late to the V-Day dance. But yeah, there are a stack of cars piled up on a freeway. And the fireys are already there, but Athena rolls up and works out what's going on. No one's dead, but there is a medical transport vehicle that is in the middle of it all. And the driver says that he was delivering an organ to a different hospital. So Athena says, I got this, come and get in the car. And then she says, buckle up, Buttercup. And then she just drives him like at insane speeds, like all
backwards.
Backwards. Yeah, backwards. Does like the Dean Winchester special handbrake turn thing. And then just zooms off up the freeway. It's like, oh my God.
This poor medic is just watching his life flash before his eyes over and over and over again because Athena is just dodging cars, going through lights, skidding around corners. She's as cool as a cucumber. And the music that's playing during this scene is this beautiful jazz song by Nat King Cole, and the title of that one is There Goes My Heart. It seems very apt for this episode.
It's quite a calm kind of a number, considering what's happening.
Considering how freaked out this poor tech is getting, which I think makes that just makes it even funnier that everybody else is like no, this is fine. Uniform motorbike cops roll up and says that they'll clear the intersections to help Athena get through. This guy is like screaming at Athena, doing that thing where you're like, oh, there's a truck! Yeah. Red light! And Athena's just making small talk. She's like, so, who's the recipient of this organ that we're delivering? It turns out she is a 16-year-old high school student from Seattle. Her whole family flew out, so it's very important that they get this organ to her in time so that she can undergo the surgery. They finally get to the hospital and the med tech is just like, oh, thank God we got here. Just runs into the hospital with his little cooler with his organ. There is a doctor, probably from the surgical team, waiting for them, and she thanks Athena for getting the tech there, getting the organ there, and Athena's all proud of herself. She's like, well, I can't think of anything better than delivering a heart on Valentine's Day, and the doctor just says, that was a kidney.
Kidneys are good.
There's just a moment where Athena has to realign the last few minutes of her life, and okay, kidneys are good. Not quite as romantic as delivering a heart, but yeah, okay, I'll take that.
Yeah.
But she gets saved from her embarrassment by a call over her radio that 727L30 has been requested for a welfare check back at Melora's house.
Athena is confused when she shows up and Melora opens the door and she's like, I thought you said you were okay. Or you were in distress again. And Melora's like, oh no, I was just having a moment. And she invites her in and wishes her happy Valentine's Day. And
Melora in this scene is just... she's got this like cute, slightly off the rails approach to her. Like, she's...
manic energy.
Yeah, like she tells Athena that she raced out and bought her a box of chocolates to thank her for coming over, and then as Athena's trying to find the words to thank her for the gift, she sort of brightly says, oh, I ate all the caramel ones, and then bounces off to get a glass of wine. I'm just like, what is going on here?
And the whole apartment is covered in candles.
Oh, yeah. Very romantic. Possibly even more romantic than it was when Ted was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she hands over a glass of wine and says, we're members of the Lonely Hearts Club.
But unfortunately, she spills said glass of wine all over Athena.
She tells Athena where the bathroom is so she can go and clean up. And when she goes into the bathroom, Melora calls out that there's hydrogen peroxide under the sink. And if that doesn't work, there's ammonia under there too. That works really well on blood.
And Athena's going,
He's like,
wait,
blood?
what?
Like her face is just like, hang on.
Something's not right here.
So she does a little bit of poking around.
Yeah.
As you do in a bathroom. Like, you do that normally, but especially you do it when someone is telling you how to get blood out of your uniform. And she opens the medicine cabinet first, and it is just chockers with those little orange prescription bottles.
Now, is that what Americans actually have? Or is that just like a TV thing? The orange prescription bottles?
Don't know. We have to ask people to tell us about that too.
There's people on Twitter. Let us know what do your prescriptions come in? Do they come in those little orange bottles?
Because like you see them in everything, and all our things are in blister packs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is it real or is it just like an American thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Always
Hopefully
know.
someone will let us know what's going on. But yeah, they do seem rather ubiquitous in movies and televisions.
Yep.
Anyway, as well as the investigating the medicine cabinet, Athena decides to investigate the shower, where she finds that while Melora may know that ammonia gets blood out of material, she's not that good at cleaning up blood from the grout of her shower.
Or the drain. Yeah.
And the drain is
Great big
just...
swirl of blood in the drain.
Yes. To which, Athena has finally twigged that something is definitely not right here, and pulls her gun, gets ready, and asks for Melora to give her the boyfriend who she had the fight with. She needs his name, she needs his contact number, she needs to confirm that he's okay, because she's thinking he's not okay right now. And he's really not okay. Because she does find him. She finds him in Laura's sewing room.
And he's very dead.
He's not looking
Very,
so hot.
very dead.
But Melora's like glued him back together.
Yeah, his body is like surrounded with little bottles of super glue.
Why does she have so much super glue?
I'm assuming she went out and bought it.
Yeah, like did the chocolate shop also have super glue?
I don't know. Although the irony is that that's her sewing room, so why didn't she stitch him back together?
Yeah. Maybe she went to Super Target.
Yeah. So Athena has discovered Ted. She's kind of stunned, and in the moment or two that she hesitates trying to work out what the fuck is going on, Melora appears behind her and presses a small revolver to the back of Athena's neck and says, very sadly, I wish you hadn't gone in there. The super glue is still drying. He's not ready yet. And we finally realise just how off the rails this woman is.
Very.
Yeah, so if this... I keep going back to this, but if this was supernatural, we'd find out that she is like a witch who's trying to like bring back her lost lover or something.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she is, but she just has no magical ability to do that.
She's just
Things she
a
does.
little off the rails here. A little delusional, perhaps, but...
a little?
medicated to the point of being a little psychotic. Extremely psychotic.
Yes.
Anyway, we're going back to a very beautiful restaurant where Buck and Abby are having their date, and Buck orders some wine.
And why is Buck the one ordering the wine? Is it just because he's the dude?
I think
guess
because
so.
he had the connections. I don't know.
But he quite clearly has no idea what he's doing, and I guarantee you that Abby knows her way around a wine list.
Oh, absolutely.
We've seen her drinking wine in pretty much every episode so far, so yeah. You'd
So
think
she
that
should
would
be
know.
the one ordering.
Yeah.
And she's watching him, like, almost fondly, like you do when you're watching a kid do something grown up for the first time.
Yeah.
And we get voiceovers, like the voiceover of their inner thoughts at this moment, and she's like, oh, he's so cute. Oh God, I wonder if they're going to ask to see his ID. Wait, what if he asks to see Buck's ID, but he doesn't ask to see mine?
It's real. It's so real.
I know. I went and bought a bottle of wine this afternoon and was slightly disappointed that I didn't get carded.
Yeah, I'm always sad now.
Yeah.
Because like my brother's 4 years younger than me, and he stopped getting carded before I stopped getting carded. But the problem is now I go to the drive-through bottle-o, and so I'm literally driving, and so they don't ask, and I'm like, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
that's
fair enough.
Yeah.
Like, I'm also over 30, but still, it'd be nice if they asked.
Yes, very flattering, but they don't.
Well,
So yeah, Abby's very impressed. She's like, you really do know people. I don't know how you got us in here. And Buck says he knows the owner because they contained a noxious gas leak for them a couple of weeks ago. And so he's like, just don't breathe too much, and say sort of cover their noses, and, you know. The waiter returns, offers a taste of wine to Buck. And he's like, yep, it tastes like wine.
tastes like wine. I'm like, oh my God, that... I'm like, I've never understood, like, I know I am in no way a wine snob, but I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll taste it and make sure it tastes okay, I guess. But is that the only reason that they offer you a taste first? Like, it's not like you can...
To make sure it hasn't been corked.
Yeah. I mean,
You know,
you
because
can
if-
say,
I think
oh, no,
if
this is no
it's-
good, go back and bring me a different one. You know, like... that seems-
Yeah, it's not to say, oh, I don't like it. It's
No,
that
it's to
it
make sure.
tastes, it hasn't spoiled while it's been sitting there.
Yeah, but I would never say to a waiter, like, this is no good, like, take it away and bring me another one. I don't know. Maybe that's just me not wanting to make a fuss, but...
I mean, to be fair, like,
It's weird.
I've worked in customer service long enough that a waiter could literally come and, like, spill the wine on me and then spit in my food, and I'd still be like, thank you. I'm so sorry for being an inconvenience to you.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Like, here's 5 stars, and, like, we don't even tip here, but I'd still give you a tip because it looks like you're having a really hard day, and I'm really sorry.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like if they come later and say, is everything okay with your meals? And just like,
Always when you've got a mouthful of food, too. Always.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's
And I'm
amazing.
like, I might have just been complaining that it was too salty or it was, you know, cold or whatever, but I'm always going to say, yeah, it's great, thank you.
This is the best meal I've ever eaten. Thank you so much. Here's a tenner.
Anyway, they take the wine and, you know, they have a taste, and Buck has some bread, like he butters this bread, and he thinks, we get the voiceover, oh man, she's pretty, her hair's so amazing.
Buck, stop.
And then he's like,
Remember,
stop,
you're not
stop, you're
sleeping with her.
Yeah.
But even as he's reminding himself we're not sleeping with her, Abby's just like, I can see his muscles flexing through the jacket as he butters his bread. You see like the drool forming on the corner of her mouth.
She's so horny right now.
Admittedly,
Look,
it's a very tight suit jacket.
And it's been a long time for her, okay? Give the lady a break.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So speaking of people doing things when you've got a massive mouthful of food, just as Buck takes a bite of his buttered bread, Abby lifts the wine glass to propose a toast, and so Buck tries to frantically swallow the mouthful of bread that he's got so that he can join in on the toast, but it doesn't quite go down the way that it should.
No.
And Abby kind of makes fun of him, like, did you finish chewing that? You know, you gotta chew your food, dude. But Buck's starting to get a little bit concerned. We get the voiceover like, be cool, we are not going to choke in front of her, we are not choking. But he's totally choking. Like, physically, literally choking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Full on choking.
Full on choking.
So he grabs a glass of water, and
Which,
Abby's like,
no,
no,
no.
don't drink. And he drinks, and yep, it's bad.
And so she's like, gets up and starts hitting him on the back like you're supposed to do if you get food stuck in there.
Mm-hmm.
And Buck's like, it's not working. And the waiter hurries back, and he's like going to do the Heimlich maneuver, which is where they like compress, you know, your chest or your stomach. I was like thinking, like, I'm sure that I was at a first aid course and they recommended not doing this, but I was looking it up, and it was actually just that in most countries in the world they do say that to do like if you can't cough the object out of your throat, then the Heimlich maneuver is like the last resort kind of thing. But actually in an Australian, I don't know, directive or whatever, they actually suggest doing chest compressions for this. And
it's to try and force the object out by like forcing the air out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why that we have a different directive to everywhere else in the world about it. Is it something to do with breaking ribs or like, I don't know, but yeah, anyway. Because I just had it stuck in my head that we weren't supposed to do the Heimlich maneuver for some reason. But I looked it up and it's like, yeah, you can totally do that if it do whatever it takes to get the airway clear again.
Maybe not whatever it takes, just considering what's going to come up in the rest of this.
Do not attempt a tracheotomy with a steak knife. That would be a bad idea. But
everything else is fair game.
He's still not breathing.
So they call 911 and Abby, being a dispatcher, actually knows how to call 911. It's so nice when you get like the change. Like, you know, the last one was like, oh yeah, like there's a pile up, it's really annoying. Abby's just like, yep, this is where I am, this is what I need, this is the patient.
Yes,
and this is what I'm doing.
On.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what you should do. If you call the emergency services in your country, always say your location first, and what you need. Like Australia's, again, a bit different because like as soon as you dial 000, it'll say fire, police or ambulance, I think. Whichever order they do it in, and you say that. And whenever I've had to call, it's just like, ambulance, please. Like, oh, police, please.
That's how panicking you are at the moment.
Like, sorry to be a bother. I know you're 000. Really sorry for bothering you, but like, there's a car accident. But yeah, and then like, I know the Australian ones will ask where you are. But yeah, if you call the emergency services, location first so that they know where you're going.
Yeah.
Don't just be like, oh my God, things are happening. It's like, yep, cool. That's, no one cares.
So Abby reports to the dispatchers that she's started compressions, and we cut to Abby doing compressions.
Oh,
Any
here's
comments,
our questionable
Alice?
CPR of the day.
Look, the compressions were good, but
Oh, it wasn't too fast this time.
no, she does compressions better than Buck does, but she does at one point try and do mouth to mouth.
Yeah, that comes a little bit later.
Yeah. So,
Which, trying to do mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, the idea of mouth-to-mouth resuscitation is to blow air into the lungs, but if the airway is obstructed...
yeah, it's literally...
all she's doing is blowing it further into the
yeah, she's just going to push the bread further down.
Absolutely useless. But, okay.
Anyway, so she's doing compressions. She tells them to call 911, and the waiter's like, we already did. She goes, no, call them again, put them on speaker. So she identifies herself and asks for a Stephanie Gaskins in emergency medical dispatch. And so Steph answers, and Abby is like, yep, cool, so I'm doing compressions, he's unconscious, I can't remove the object. He stopped breathing 2 minutes ago, another 3 minutes he's going to have brain damage. I need you to walk me through an emergency tracheotomy.
Stephanie's looking around to see if anybody has heard her, and she's like, Abby, have you lost your mind?
Finally, someone with a bit of sense in this place. What the hell are you talking about?
I'd want to interrupt this discussion to quickly mention that we talked in the last episode about the diversity that 911 has. EMT Gaskins is a wheelchair user.
Yeah.
And it's just, she's just there in a wheelchair. There's no mention of it. There's no need in the particular scene for them to be a wheelchair user. She's just in a wheelchair. And it's just doing a job in a wheelchair. And I think that's very interesting that that was the decision that was made. I don't know whether it was, let's have a wheelchair user be in this scene, or was this particular actress auditioned and was cast in this role.
Yeah.
Just nice, very sort of quiet, low-key diversity that they're throwing in.
Yeah, it's always good when it's not like, oh, this is a person in a wit. She just has a job. That she's just a human, because that's what most people are.
Is this particular character in future episodes? Because
Nope.
no,
She never shows up again.
Wow, that's a surprise because I mean they named her, and they gave her, you know, she's got brightly coloured hair. She just seemed like a big personality to be a one-off character. That's a shame. I was like, oh, we've met someone who's going to be in it a lot more because it's making an impression.
You do get more dispatch stuff later, but Stephanie's not part of it, unfortunately. Because I like Stephanie.
Yeah,
she's cool. And
cool.
just doing a quick Google, the actress that plays Stephanie has cerebral palsy.
Oh.
Okay.
So this is a person who is in real life a wheelchair user, not an able-bodied actress that they have dumped into wheelchairs for diversity points.
Right.
That's so cool.
Well, that's good.
So yeah, Stephanie very reluctantly agrees to talk Abby through an emergency tracheotomy.
Yeah, I don't know. So she's like, have you got a knife and something to keep the airway open, like a pen or a straw? And so gives everyone instructions on what she needs.
Which, she's on speakerphone, so they've all heard Steph give these instructions.
Yeah, but she starts giving
fine.
the orders.
And this is where Abby does mouth to mouth.
Like, just trying to buy herself some time.
Like, it's just going to force the bread further down, but yeah.
Maybe she's having a bit of a panic and not quite thinking clearly at this point.
I think so.
But, yeah, Steph, like, instructs her on how to cut into... This is quite graphic. She's, like, cutting a hole in his windpipe and sticking her fingers in there.
And like, we see the entire thing. No. We see the blood welling from the little divot in his throat. We see Abby sort of digging her fingers in. And the instructions are quite detailed. I wonder whether I would be able to perform an emergency tracheotomy having watched this scene.
Please don't ever try.
I probably
I'm not
wouldn't
going to
recommend
try.
Another note is that if you do call emergency services, they have like instructions on how to do stuff. So like I'm first aid trained and I've got a certificate that says I can do it. But if you don't know CPR and you're not first aid trained, if you call 000 or the emergency number in your country, they will have instructions. So they'll instruct you on how to do CPR if you need to, and they'll instruct you like how to use a defib if you need to. Or, like, I don't know if they'll instruct you how to perform an emergency tracheotomy, but they might.
Well, I think that's where EMD comes in. They'll probably have the scripts on... they have a lot of scripts.
They've got
on
a lot of
different
scenarios,
but maybe if they encounter situations where that's outside the box, that's when they call for EMD. Like, we need you to talk somebody through this. I don't know how to talk them through it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Although, I don't know that any of them would ever really talk somebody through an emergency tracheotomy, but here we are. She slices into Buck, she shoves the pen in. I would note that nobody mentioned having to take the nib and the ink out of the pen so that it's just the plastic case, but obviously somebody was thinking outside the box and has done that.
She blows some air into him through the pen and he wakes up.
Immediately, which is,
Yeah, I don't know.
And that's exactly when the paramedics roll in.
Yeah.
So once again, we've got Abby, like, jumping into action only to not really have needed to jump into action.
Yeah, like, she could have just been performing CPR this whole time and keeping the blood pumping rather than...
possibly slitting this poor man's throat.
Letting someone professional cut a hole in his neck. Yeah.
But I think she's got a taste of the action of actually doing something and not just sitting back and talking people through it. So she's got the urge that she wants to do, so she's going to do if she ever has the opportunity, which could possibly be dangerous at some point.
I think she also isn't as level-headed when it's a personal thing, which we did notice in the last episode when her mum went missing.
Well, we go from one tense situation to another, I guess, because we go get another 911 call, and this male caller is saying, "I can't move. I think I broke my back," and the 911 operator is a little unfeeling. She's just like, "You're going to have to speak up." Did you say you broke your back? And Bobby and Chim respond to this one, and they knock on the door of a rather large house, and they're about to bust the door open when
Chim is mid-swing with the ram.
yeah.
He really wants to hit that door open.
And, like, also, I know that Bobby and Chim are working doubles on Valentine's Day, but are they the only ones working tonight? Because, like, where's the rest of... Like, why are they alone?
Bobby does say at some point that Gardner wants to spend the evening with his wife.
Yeah, but that's why Bobby is doing... Like, there should be the rest of the team still. Like, it shouldn't just be 2 people on Valentine's Day night.
Yeah.
Well, Buck finished at 2. Hen finished at 2. The rest of the 118 doesn't exist.
I forgot, my bad. when the A shift aren't working, there's just no emergencies.
No.
That's fine.
No one's there.
No fires, no nothing.
Like, Bobby drove the engine, even though he never drives. Chim's gonna drive the ambulance and also sit in the back with the patient. It's fine.
Well, this woman answers the door in a dressing gown, so obviously she was undressed before, so she hadn't come to answer the door. And Chim tells her that a man called 911, and there's a man inside the house who comes up behind her and says, "No, I'm the only man here. I'm pretty sure I'm not in distress." It's like, oh my God.
The woman is acting so shifty at this point. Something is going on here. And
Yeah, not that shifty.
not that, not Melora shifty, not like crazy shifty. It's very much like she's got caught out.
Yeah.
So Bobby asks if the 2 of them have been home all night, and the woman's like, I was, Alex. And the man just interrupts and goes, "Told her I had to work on Valentine's Day. She was so mad at me, but it was all part of the plan."
And the woman says, "He came home and surprised me with flowers and my favourite takeout." With this, rictus grin on her face.
Yeah. That Bobby and Chim are, putting it together going, oh, okay. And, we as the audience are also, okay, I get what's happening here. So Chim wants to take a look around outside. That's the procedure. And so they let them get back to their romance, and they go around the back of the house. And, yeah, they have a look around the pool area. But next to the pool and on some grass, there's a man in his underwear, in his tidy whities. And he's like, be quiet. And then Bobby's like, you jumped down from up there, didn't you? And it turns out this guy has broken ankles, or, his feet are broken in some way.
Bobby's noticed that where this guy is lying, there is a balcony up above him, which presumably, considering the guy's state of undress, leads to a bedroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this is actually confirmed because while Chim and Bobby are examining this guy, we cut to Alex cutting through the bedroom and out onto the balcony. When he looks down, he can see what's going on outside.
They've
They're being kind of rough with the guy, shoving him onto the gurney.
Yeah, they
thing.
definitely...
He's just like, ow!
Yeah, they're definitely like, oh, well, this is the other man.
They have no sympathy for him.
Yeah, they say it's called a Casanova fracture.
Yeah.
And why is it called a Casanova fracture? And Chim's like, well, woman's having an affair, husband comes home early, guy jumps off, Casanova.
Yeah. And then the guy up on the balcony is like, she's not my wife.
Yeah, we find out that
they all know each other. Yeah,
an affair is happening, but it's not the triangle that we think it is, because the guy down on the ground who has just sustained the Casanova fracture is actually the wife of the woman, and she has been
Yeah.
So, yes, they are married.
But they're
They
separated.
are separated. The woman is in a new relationship with Alex, but she is cheating on Alex with her husband.
Yeah, because they have so much history together.
And Bobby and Shim are just standing there going, like a tennis match, just looking backwards and forth, going, what the hell is going on here?
Yep. And they're like, I'm sorry, are you okay? And he's like, I'm okay, I love you.
Yeah. And poor Alex is just like, what the fuck?
I'm out of here. No. And the woman comes downstairs as they're loading Mickey into the ambulance and wants to ride with him. And Bobby's like, well, as long as the divorce papers aren't signed yet, sure, why not? And she's just pulled like a house coat over her robe that she's pulled on over the very little that she was wearing before. And she's still got like a house slippers on. It's very cute, but also...
Was it
yeah.
creepy or romantic?
A little both.
Yep.
All of both. Gotta love Valentine's Day. That's what they say.
Speaking of creepy or romantic, cut back to Melora.
What a segue.
Who has now duct taped Athena to a chair in her kitchen. And she's going off kind of on her supervillain rant or monologue.
Yeah, she's
that they
monologuing.
always do.
Yeah.
She's monologuing. Like, Ted didn't appreciate the effort I put into Valentine's Day, but he will once I'm done with him. And Athena's like, what do you mean when you're done with him? You chopped him up and superglued him back together. And what I love about this actress, the way that she's approaching Melora, is like she's obviously batshit crazy, but she approaches it with such a gullibility and naivety, because she just turns to Athena and goes, well, how would you have done it? Like seriously curious as to what Athena would have done in that situation.
Yeah. Like Athena's like, no, look, you're sick. You're on so many drugs, you don't know what you're doing. So, and Melora's like, no, I know exactly what I'm doing. And I'm sick of people telling me what's wrong with me. And Athena's like, heartbreak doesn't last forever, but some mistakes do. Like, the system can go easy on you, but if you hurt a cop, you're not going to get an easy road. So untie me. Please untie me. And then we hear this woman's voice yelling from somewhere else in the house, somebody help me. Help me.
I think Athena was getting through to Melora, and she might have actually convinced her to untie her until we hear someone else screaming, and then Melora's, oh, well, look who woke up.
Oh, God.
And we get a bit of a change in personality from Melora, because apparently she tracked down the other date that Ted was going to have that evening and lured her to her apartment, hit her over the head with a pan a couple of times, apparently not enough because she hasn't lost the ability to speak, and threw her down in the basement and tied her up.
And actually she opens the door to the basement. We actually see this girl who's tied up with duct tape, like, you know. Athena's trying to say to her, like, maybe you should bring her up here and we can, you know, try and work things out. And Laura's like, you think I should kill her up here?
Just, again, it's that wide-eyed, innocent, I'm taking advice from my elder kind of response.
Yeah.
Athena's like, that is not what I said.
No.
Yeah, you think I should kill her up here? No! No! And so Melora goes, she has to die tonight, because what if she tries to get Ted back?
And Athena's trying to go for logic here. She's like, sweetheart, Ted is dead. And Laura's like, no, but he won't be once I fix him, because he was perfect. He had a job. He was handsome. The sex was great. The only problem was that he had an awful cheating heart. He just needs a new heart, a good one. And then we find out what has been going on in Melora's little head. She thinks that Athena's heart is wonderful and pure because Athena is such a good person and she honors her marriage vows and she was so nice, and Melora has convinced herself that if she takes Athena's heart and sticks it into Ted's body, then not only will Ted be miraculously revived, but he will be a good person.
Yeah.
And Athena's face just goes, oh shit. Like, there's no way she can logic her way and rationally talk her way out of this situation.
No, this woman is off the wall, insane.
Yes, and she says that who the hell has it says I have to get a handsaw to cut through your rib cage. I mean, who the heck has a handsaw lying around the house? And she starts going through the knives to try and work out which one she's going to use. And just as she's about to, well, she's trying to work out which knife she's going to use, but Athena's still desperately trying to talk her out of it. Like, do you know what the real history of Valentine's Day is? It was a Roman pagan ritual to Lupercalia.
Which, I mean, yes and no. There was a pagan festival called Lupercalia, and the things that Athena says in that festival did kind of happen, but she's put a very negative spin on it. And Lupercalia was one of those pagan festivals that, like Christmas and like Easter, when the Christian church came in and forcibly converted everybody, they took over that festival and said, you can keep celebrating it, but we're going to call it St. Valentine's Day now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yes, she's kind of correct, but she's also, like, doesn't have it quite right, but it works, the spin that she's put on it kind of works in this situation, because she's trying to convince Melora that Valentine's Day is bad.
Yeah, and Melora's like, that's not true, it's to celebrate Saint Valentine, the patron saint of love. And Athena goes, Saint Valentine, he's the patron saint of epileptic. Oh my god, I can't talk today.
Epileptics.
Saint Valentine, the patron saint of epileptics, not lovers.
Which, again, he is the patron saint of epileptics, but he is also his feast day, which is the feast of St. Valentine's, is on the day that was Lupercalia, which is the middle of February. So, yeah, once again, she's just trying to minimize the wonder that is Valentine's Day to try and snap Melora out of going through with her dastardly plan of cutting Athena's heart out.
Yeah.
It's not really working, though, because she's just pissing Melora off. To the point where Melora turns around and says, you're a liar, and Athena realizes that she's not getting through to her and just goes for broke and just says, and you're a crazy bitch. To it, like, Athena, don't antagonize the crazy lady with the knives. Especially when you are still tied to the chair.
Yeah.
Because you are still tied to the chair. Like, she's frantically working at the duct tape and she's getting pretty close, but she is still tied up.
Yeah. And she's, like, about to lift a knife and, like, stab her, but there's a pounding on the door, and we hear a woman shouting to, let me in. And Melora stops for a moment, but then she goes to, like, strike her again, and at that point Athena has finally worked the tape off her wrists, and she's able to jump up and stop Melora, and she grabs something from the kitchen and bashes her over the head with it and knocks her out.
There was a champagne bottle resting in an ice bucket, which I'm assuming Melora was going to crack open the champagne bottle once Ted was back in the land of the living.
Right.
So Athena just grabs the bottle and cracks that over Melora's head, and she's out cold.
Yeah.
Because I think by hitting her head with the bottle, her head then slams into a cabinet, and then she's down and out.
And then she answers the door, and this woman, like, storms in and, like, starts walking around the house going, where is he? Where is he? And Athena's trying to work out who she is. She's like, who the hell are you?
She's just yelling, Ted!
Yeah. You're about to be severely disappointed, lady.
Yeah.
So this is Sandra. She was Ted's third date for the evening. But when he didn't show, Sandra tracked him down because he had the stupidity to sign into his iCloud account on her computer, so she used that to use the Find My Phone app to track Ted down.
I love that when she sees Melora on the floor.
She sees Melora.
She goes, what kind of weird kinky crap does he have going on over here?
Yeah.
She tells Athena, she asks Athena, where is Ted? I'm going to kill him. And Athena's like, you're a little late. He's already dead.
Ted gave his heart to someone else. Yeah, you rigorous third date. And she requests, when she radios in for backup, she requests a straitjacket and a horse tranquilizer.
And we have a little bit of a blooper there because Athena's call sign is 727L30. But in this line, all she says is 7L30.
Okay.
So somebody didn't pick that up when they were going through edits.
Yeah. She's stressed, it's fine.
If it was me, I would never remember those codes. That's a lot. It's a lot of letters to remember. And they get Ashley out of the basement, and she's, she says, "You girls need to do better at picking men." And then there's a guy there, a detective who reels the drugs that she has in their bathroom are all antipsychotics. So Athena has a moment where she's like feels a bit sorry for Melora because she was pretty drugged up and all she wanted was to be loved. But it's just a shame that it kind of manifested in psychosis. Yeah.
Melora's sitting in the back of the squad car just looking mournfully at Athena.
Yeah.
And then interestingly, the homicide detective tells Athena to go home and see her husband because it's Valentine's Day. So clearly, he knows Athena well enough to know that she has a husband at home waiting, but Athena hasn't been talking about what's going on, which I don't really blame her.
No. So then we cut to Buck, who is asleep in the hospital bed after surgery to remove the obstruction from his throat and stitch up what Abby did to him. Abby's sitting by the bed just watching him sleep, and Bobby shows up.
It did actually turn out to be quite a stabby episode, this one, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
Yes, Bobby shows up and asks how Buck is, and then, he'd be completely out of it if it hadn't been for you. You saved his life. And Abby's just like, oh, I don't know.
I'm mostly trying not to think about it.
And Bobby says that if she wants to go home, then she can, she doesn't have to sit here. But Abby says she does want to, and she'd love company if he wants to stay too. So he joins in.
He immediately sits down. I wasn't sure when he said that whether he was trying to give Abby an out, like, shades of Tatiana and Chim, or whether he wanted desperately to be by Buck's side. He just didn't want to step on Abby's toes.
Yeah, was he giving her an out or himself an in? Definitely
Yes.
himself an in.
Definitely himself is in, because as soon as Abby says, no, you can sit down, he's down in that chair.
Yeah.
He's not leaving his boy.
Aww.
That's so cute. But they're not a family, remember?
No, they are a family now.
So yeah, Bobby's like, some Valentine's Day, huh? Abby's super romantic. It was all going so great until I had to cut a hole
in his throat.
And Bobby says, Valentine's Day really works out the way you expect it to. You got to roll with what comes. You don't know what's around the corner. And Abby's like, spoken like a true first responder.
Bobby says it's straight out of the handbook.
Bobby offers her coffee, and Abby so very tiredly says, coffee would be okay, I can't choke on that, right? Which Bobby's like, you've obviously never had coffee from this hospital before. But they both get up, give Buck one last look, who's still sleeping, and leave his room to go and get coffee, maybe get to know each other a little bit more. The father meeting the girlfriend. Making sure she's good enough for his son.
Even though they're probably a fairly similar age, I'm guessing.
Yes, actually, yeah. And more age appropriate for Bobby than she would be for Buck. And I get the beautiful song Heartbeats by Jose Gonzalez starts playing as we cut back to the Grant household. And Athena is finally home for the night.
And it's the first time that Heartbeats plays. It's not the last time that Heartbeats plays on this show.
Oh.
Yes. This one's a little bit less traumatic, though.
Yeah, thank God.
Oh. Well, in this version, she comes in, puts her bag down, and when she goes into the dining room, there's like a glass of wine and a card is balanced on top of it. And there's some cookies on the table, and the card says Happy Valentine's Day, and it's from all of her family. And it says, we love you. And she sits down at the table and has a glass of wine.
It's interesting. She's obviously been saying throughout the whole episode that she's going to be alone on Valentine's Day. She doesn't need Valentine's Day, but here is her family. And even if showing her that even if they're not right there with her, they are still with her on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So not a romantic evening, but a happy evening for her.
Yeah, in the end, after she nearly got stabbed and all of that, that's the end.
That is the end.
What a crazy Valentine's Day.
Everyone survived, just.
Yeah, except
Well,
Ted.
except Ted.
Yeah, he didn't survive.
Honestly, he had it coming.
Controversial, but yeah, he was a bit of an asshole.
He was not a good dog.
No.
No.
Yeah, we did have, like at the start I was saying how I wasn't sure about tone, and this episode did sort of flip-flop between, you know, that tongue-in-cheek kind of making fun of everything tone and like deadly serious, like I am going to cut out your heart kind of a tone. But we didn't have any like full-on heartbreaks in this particular episode, so even though it was called Heartbreak.
No traumas in this one.
Yeah. It was generally a lighter tone than the other ones we've had in the last few weeks. So what have we got coming up in the next episode? I dread to think.
Well, the official summary says a full moon brings out the crazy. So we're going to continue the theme of the crazy for just a little bit longer. A full moon keeps the crew busy with some of the craziest calls yet as Athena investigates a potential home invasion and faces off against... Oh, really? I just got that. As Athena faces off against a rabid criminal. Meanwhile, Abby helps investigate the murder of a caller. Bobby and Buck have their hands full at a yoga studio for pregnant women, and Hen's past may become her future.
Wow.
Very much so.
Do you want to give any of the content warnings now in case people are going to watch?
Yes. So perhaps don't watch this episode if you find depictions of labour and childbirth disturbing. If you don't want to watch someone cheating on their significant other. There is a domestic violence storyline that runs through the next episode. There is going to be homicide that is heard through the phone, if not depicted on screen. There is a police shooting of a cannibal, and yes, we are going to witness some cannibalism. And there is a call that involves a tapeworm.
Okay. That's a very interesting collection of
Another Whiplash
Some of these things
episode.
are not like the others.
Maybe.
For this episode.
Okay.
So tune in next week to work out how we put all of those together in one episode.
Yep, cannot wait. All right, well, we've asked lots of questions in this episode of everybody. If you would like to let us know what you thought of this episode or how things work in your part of the world that we've asked about, you can leave us a comment on the blog posts on our website, which is thatwewooshow.com, and you can find other contact details there as well. You can email us, contact@thatwewooshow.com as well. And so thank you very much for listening, and we will talk to you next time to discuss episode 7, Full Moon. No, what is it called again? Full Moon Creepy AF. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
911 is a fictional show, but many of the situations portrayed happen in the real world too. If any of the topics we've discussed in this episode have affected you, please know you're not alone. You can call or text numbers in your country for help. Just Google crisis support in your location to find out the number. If you enjoy our podcast, you can help us out by leaving us a review on Spotify or your preferred listening app, and by sharing our social media posts. Find out more at thatwewieshow.com.